Hello and welcome to today's Cash Flow Digital. Thank you very much for joining. We are with special guest Mr. Chris Palmer, who has been on this show before, but I'm sure he has been on many other people's shows as well. So he doesn't need much.
He's a show whore, yes.
Yeah, he's a show whore. Also, the show is sponsored by odys.global. Check them out. You can see the link below. You can get a $100 sign up for age domains if you're interested in that type of thing. But before we get into anything, we have a topic today that Mike has named cluster maturation or cluster masturbation, whatever you want to call it.
However you want to read it, yes.
However you want to read it is the.
You can just read it as on page and off page optimization if you want. Fancy names are cool.
We have Chris, who is going to pick the brains out of Mike and B-Rad, because the guys have been promising a little bit of information on this type of thing, personalization, and we want to make sure that we try and get as much juice as we can. And Chris being the perfect guy that looks into a lot of detail, we hope to extract as much as we possibly can out of these guys. If you guys have questions in the chat, give us them as well. Some Adrian Borg, Machira cluster masturbation. But good to see you, Adrian. Good evening, Paul Hogden. Also, let us know where you are in the world. Also, do give us a like and subscribe. But finally, we got B-Rad and Mike, and we don't want Mike to be asking the questions all the time. We need to extract from him all of that knowledge that he's got. So
we do.
Mike's
he likes to hide behind his own questions sometimes.
Yeah,
he does. He's slick with it too, isn't he?
Actually, I do. If I have to go do shit, I just fucking let it drop. I got a switch right here. Oh shit, I need to go. I actually got a new fucking line installed last Thursday, dude. I went from 350K to 50 megabits, so it's a little different.
Yeah, there seems to be a couple of guys there talking about your connection, so...
Everyone always talks about my connections, baby. Once they try it once, dude, they keep coming back.
Why would you go from 350 to 50 for what?
No, so like there's a brand that we just got the tower finished out here. So I have a direct shot from that tower to a dish. So I get a fucking direct line from that 5G tower. There's been nothing out here except for DSL until last Thursday.
No, it's 350K.
350K.
Okay.
Under a meg. 350K.
It's hard to conceptualize being that low.
Like straight up go back to 2000, and that's the connection I've been on. I've had 7 of them. It's cost me like $700 a month for those connections, like those 7 lines. And I just dropped it down to 150 a month for 50 megs. So I'm saving like 500, 600 a month, dude. And the speed is insane. We've got someone special in the fucking audience today, but I'm not going to mention who they are, but they're special to me. And we're going to talk about something that person and I have talked about for a long time, that Brad and I have been doing for a long time. And some of the shit we're going to be doing coming up here with that, and some of the technology that we're going to be dropping on people to use. So I think we can start with the fact that, I mean, Chris, like, to you, what is fucking cloaking, bro?
Yeah, I was gonna say in the questions, ask specific cloaking questions.
And the audience, I want to know, what is cloaking? I want to get at least 3 answers, or I'm not dropping any information today. So someone spit out what their definition of cloaking is. We won't call you up. We won't put you on the screen. Just put it out there. No one will see it unless they're, well, I guess they will, because it's a fucking comment, but
no one
be brave and fucking do it.
No one takes wearing a cloak. That shit is just not going to wash. So
for me, it's like on a spaceship when you need to get away from fucking the Empire and shit.
Harry Potter's got a cloak.
Why do they call it cloaking?
I'm not sure.
Well, is cloaking not showing one thing but doing another?
Right. So it's kind of like magic, right? It's cloaking.
Right. So
the Harry Potter comment. Go ahead.
Really? But what would be the point? Why?
So What's taught usually, like so Brad and I have built probably 3 or 4 systems with different people, and it's usually SEO based, like, and the tip of the iceberg where you're doing either IP delivery or reverse DNS or user agent cloaking. And so user agent cloaking means, you're looking at the user agent, you're checking to see if it's Googlebot. Well, why does that fail? Why does user agent cloaking fail?
Because they switch up their Google bots. Or they use Snoopy bots, all that.
Yeah,
right?
Snoopy bots. There's a lot of tech that they're using. Also,
to clear it up for everyone, the type of cloaking that Mike is talking about. So, say you put out a mass site with 100,000 pages on it, right? And you laser target each page like it's keyword plus city is something that I've done a lot in the past. So I would do drug rehab, Newark, New Jersey. So the user, the person looking for a drug rehab in Newark, New Jersey, they've typed that in, or maybe they just typed in drug rehab and they happen to be in Newark, but that's going to pop up because of the long tail pop or the short tail pop. But they're going to click on that, and then instead of the page that is actually created that Google wants to see, the one with a bunch of content, the one that's just over optimized, in my opinion, for the opposite of conversion ready. The person is not going to see that. Instead, they're going to see your lander, and you cloak by redirecting them over to a landing page. And your cloaking device, whatever you're using, can tell this should be a real user, so they're going to go to here. And you can set up a bunch of different stuff, like you can send the first user to this landing page, second user to this landing page, third user to here, stuff like that. But if a bot, i.e. Google, Yahoo, Bing, any of those, crawl the page, go through the search engine, go to the page, what they're going to see is what's actually on the site. So they're going to see that 3,000 word article. They're going to see all these H1s, H2s, H3s that are perfectly optimized, or as perfect as you can with a mass page builder. You just set it up, general on-page rules and let it go. They're going to see that, where the end user sees what you want them to see, and what you want them to see is something that is going to optimize for conversions. So hopefully that.
So today, that's actually a great explanation. That gets me right to where I want to be. And today we're just going to tell people, like, you don't have to pay someone to do that. I'm going to give you all the scripts right now on a few different articles to write your own. Hire someone for like $100 on Fiverr, wherever the fuck you want, someone that writes PHP, and you can write your own cloaker. It's not hard. Like, we'll tell you how to do it today. Okay. So we'll get to that. We also going to talk about right now, I wanted to let everyone know, like, you guys know what quality raters are for Google, right? And do you know that they usually come from a certain website? Like, they have a certain referrer. So I'm going to give you a couple articles that you can read, and it'll show you how to look for what sites Google quality raters are. And I'll show you how to, make sure that you are hiding anything shady you're doing when the quality raters come. Okay. So that's typically not taught, the quality rater thing. That's the little extra I'm throwing you, but the redirection, there's comments in here about redirection. And so redirection and iframing, full page iframes, are typically what's taught. And that is cloaking, but it is just scratching the surface of what you can do with cloaking.
Yeah. Instead of redirecting to a separate site, you're just, overlaying.
Yeah. So there's been all these plugins for full page iframes, Lead Gadget did it. A lot of people did the full page iframes.
There was an X-ray one. I can't remember what that was called.
Those weren't even cloaking. Those were just overlaying, which is very detectable. And so Brad and I have had thousands of websites fucking smashed for redirection, smashed for iframing. Now you get a little bit more detailed when you're doing file replacement, where you're changing out the file on your website based on who's showing up. That's a little bit more detailed. And it just keeps going into more detail, into more detail, into more detail. What's up, Jordan? And those are what's typically taught. So today here, I'm going to drop in an article that Neil Patel wrote about how to determine if quality raters are jumping into your website. If I can get over to, is there a way for me to drop comments? There isn't, is there?
Yeah, well, yeah. Do you have access to just jump in there and post a comment?
Oh yeah, I should just go to the fucking front page, huh? Okay, yeah. I'll drop it in there in a second. I'll drop it. You know what? I'll give it to Craig, and we'll put it in the fucking description so you guys can look at it. So there is a how to check. I'll just read the title of it. It's on Neil Patel's site if you want to pull it up now while we're talking about it. It says how to check if Google manually reviewed your website. And it explains how to use your analytics to look at and to see if manual reviewers there. Well, once you know manual was reviewed, come to the site from a certain referrer, you can now start to actually protect yourself. And so a large portion of cloaking and what you should be doing in these campaigns when you're working with large brands, when you're selling this as a service, because we're going to get into over the next couple weeks with what we're doing about how to do this legitimately. And this is one school of this. There's dark and light arts. There's the dark side. There's the light side, just like fucking Star Wars, right? And one of them is you can seriously protect your fucking information from other people. And if you know that, you can also protect your sites and whatever you're doing from Google as well. So you can treat your competitors in Google the same way and deliver what you want based on that. Now, we're not advocating breaking terms of service, but honestly, terms of service is not law. So to me,
I honestly advocate to break terms of service.
Yeah, I will say that. I do too. Fuck Google. They hurt small business, and do what you can to take their money. There you go. So pull up that article and look at it. And all you have to do to write a cloaker to do this is you just have to log who's coming to your site as they come. So when someone comes from a fucking referral site, let me see what one of these ones in here. My list is my own list, but I'll see what he dropped in here. He dropped a couple URLs in that. So you're just capturing
where they logs, Mike.
What's that? No, I'm looking. Well, yes, he's talking about looking at analytics.
Yeah,
I'm talking about looking at the logs, analyzing the logs in real time, so that you know who's coming to your site from sites that you're afraid of, aka quality reviewer hires, quality reviewer boards, that kind of shit. Determining what those are and making sure that you're pristine as shit when those quality reviewers are coming here. Now, when you start to understand this from a white hat type of level, you can start to understand this from when Brad and I are going out and building networks. No matter what software we're using, we're going to be dropping code on all our sites to make sure we have access to control what's going on when someone comes from quality reviewer land, so that we don't have a flag and they don't fucking footprint us. So instead of
the ability to block someone if you need to, or redirect
exactly
when you
and so instead of worrying about footprints like the whole SEO community does when they're talking about networks and mass page sites and all this, take your footprints away when those people come to flag your networks. Don't let the footprints be there. And then you don't have to worry about footprints anymore. You basically open up your world to any shitty piece of software that generates content the way you want. Who cares if there's a footprint? Take it away when someone comes. It shouldn't see the footprint. That's it. It's pretty simple, honestly. And so that's a little bit more than people talk about with cloaking. So that's our gift to you today. And now we're going to get into some questions that Chris might have based on what I fucking said. So,
well,
go for it, bro.
I guess one of the very first questions, now obviously I was asked to play advocate of, people that were watching. So one of the first questions would be, why would I want to go through all of this trouble? Why wouldn't I just be building a page that can adhere to conversion and to quality to be able to rank? Or why wouldn't I just use an image that has conversion based with the content that can be of high quality? Like, why would I go through all of this trouble? Why wouldn't I just build a quality page?
Because you can't do both. We all know that we've been in business decisions where SEO takes a back seat to business. SEO takes a back seat to conversion. Why have those limits on yourself? That's why. I mean,
my thing would also be scale. I can pump out
that's very true.
A lot more lower quality pages in my eyes, in the end user's eyes, but not in Google's eyes, where if I only have to do one landing page that looks nice, that is, I know is going to convert, all that stuff. I only have to create that once, and then I can mass build all these others, whether they're GMBs, whether they're, just straight mass page sites. I can do that in mass very easily. I can bot that out, and then I don't have to worry about it. And it's always building. So scale would be my thing.
And you also want to think about things like this. If you're running a network, so like Brad and I, along with another gentleman and our partners, have generated $1.2 billion in mortgage financing this year in 11, 12, or 10 months. And when you do that, you're talking about thousands of websites, thousands of map listings, tons of shit that you're maintaining. And when you get to scale, when you're working with large corporations, when you're working on your own campaigns and your own lead generation, you need to be able to make mass changes across your site in a fucking instant. Like, if a market change happens and you need to change keyword tactic all over thousands of websites, are you going to want to go out and hire fucking 13 VAs, 20 VAs to go into thousands of sites and change that? Or do you want to go into a single place change that out and have it fucking changed across thousands of websites like that. So when you start to think about cloaking, this is why I say that the SEO community's kind of kept it in this little box where it doesn't belong, because it opens up your skill set and whatever that is, whether that's paid, that's social, whether that's SEO, it opens you up to be able to do fucking anything you want. That's why I call them wizards. You know, that's why we call each other wizards. Fucking, you literally have now, I can read your browser. If I want to be dirty with this, I can read your browser. I can see where you shop. I can do all of this, and I can craft anything to kind of control your thoughts. And that's what advertising is with paid advertising. And we were talking about pixels. Once we drop a pixel is literally a way for me to drop a cookie on your machine. So once I get into your cookies, into your browser, into your behavior, I can do what I want with my funnels. And I can start crafting my funnels and my landing pages that are tailored to you. And I don't have to write multiple landing pages. I can write one damn landing page that's tailored to every user that comes, no matter where they are in their buying cycle and in their funnel, right? So this is where you start to think about what cloaking is capable of. And it starts with understanding the basics of network marketing and using a funnel to market and retargeting. And that's why pixels are so important and why I kept pushing it the other day.
It also allows for massive split testing without dumping a bunch of money into paid ads as well. You know, imagine if you like, I think most people in here have used ClickFunnels, and they know that in ClickFunnels you've got the ability to do the split test, so you can determine which one's the winner and all that crap. Imagine being able to turn on a ton of qualified traffic to that and instantly know which one is going to do better. You know, that's what we have done in the past. We actually did that with cloaking in the past, where we before ClickFunnels, we had a bunch of HTML templates. We started with like 10, and then we cut it down to 5, and we added 5 more to test, and then we cut that back down to 5 and see which one does the best until you've got 3, 4 really solidly performing landing pages that you can just flood with traffic at that point and maximize revenue.
And in that case, you come into my site, I'm going to detect your location. I'm going to drop content in my lander that is tailored to you based on your location, based on your browsing habits. And I can start split testing this kind of information to see what converts best. Right?
And from a PPL perspective, like Mike said, everyone wants to shop local, right? If you call an HVAC guy, you don't want to call, you're not going to call someone typically that you think is nationwide. You're going to call like a local expert. With cloaking, we can determine where you are and put you on the landing page that makes sense for that location. So say if I wanted to create one for a different landing page for every state, but then I'm just crapping out sites, I can route by geolocation and put someone, maybe in North Carolina, I'm going to send them to North Carolina Blue, like have that everywhere on the site, So that's customization is the key.
What's interesting is there's a lot of people that cloak. There's a lot of people that talk about this in SEO. I don't know if they really do. I don't know how far they take shit, but I look at this like everything's segmented in our community, where we have the mapped guys, we have the SEO guys, we have all the Facebook guys, all this shit where people are separating all these things that literally are not separate. Everything is meshed into one thing. There's a difference between campaign strategy and gimmicks and tactics. And, SEO is a gimmick tactic. Maps is a gimmick tactic. Everything is a gimmick tactic. Going and doing proxies and gaming fucking CTR is a gimmick tactic to sell shit. This is stuff that's broken apart into separate things to make money for people that are teaching it. And when people come together and actually can start seeing through like what the tactics are and putting it together in a campaign strategy, that's when you have a skill set that is going to hire you out directly to fucking major corporations. And Brad and I don't sell shit, and we haven't sold shit based on our good looks, except for like one time when Brad was working on the corner. But that was a different market.
That was a tough year.
Yeah, exactly. But literally, like once you start tying all of this together and understand the way that this works and tying it into your marketing and your funnels and shit, well, now you can take your map tactics, you can take your SEO tactics, your content tactics, your link building tactics, and you can start like to pull this together and push and pull the services and craft a campaign that is going to fucking make. I say it right now when we sell. Like I was talking to a couple tourist boards last week, and I went into a paid shop as well last week. I didn't tell you about this, Brad, but they do native. They do native content. They're just a content shop. And I literally walked in and said, I guarantee you I can increase your revenue by at least 50% without fucking looking at your shit. And that's why it's such an important skill set and such an important thing to understand, because I promise out there, I can take any web page right now that I go into, and I will make you at least 20 to 30 to 40% more revenue on what you already have with what the skill set allows people to do. And it's just a fact. Like, I almost never see a fucking page that's doing everything that they need to be doing, or a brand or a site that's doing everything they need to be doing when it comes to like what can be done with cloaking knowledge and knowledge of fucking SEO and maps and all of that. So it's just something that, Craig started talking about and I started thinking about, and it's right. It's like, why not just open people's eyes to shit like that, so that they understand that they have these skill sets that they can fucking tie together, whether or not it doesn't have to be something I mentioned. Like, there's some social shit I do that I don't ever talk about because it's just not interesting to me, but it fucking drives a lot of some of the shit that I do because of the way SEO works and the way conversion and branding works. So, yeah.
Mike, and this is probably a question that would be good for the audience. So how does Joe the plumber, right? This is obviously, for SEO guys, this is, like candy, right?
Right.
But Joe the plumber, how is he going to take this type of knowledge? Like, how is this profitable for Joe the plumber? For me to know this, if I'm Joe the plumber, how is this going to make me money without that? Because it sounds to me like a lot of time has gone into learning this, right? And to implement this. And there's a lot of other knowledge that needs to be in place in order to implement this. So how does Joe the plumber profit from this?
Joe the plumber, I wouldn't want to teach. The people working with Joe the plumber, I would. And the skill set, once you have the tools, and if you're not a programmer, it comes down to whether you're a programmer or not. Do you need a tool, or do you just want to program it? For someone that's coming in and fucking working with local clients, I'm pretty sure that Joe the plumber is not following up with his customers or his potential customers as much as he should. I'm sure his funnel can be improved, and I'm sure that there's a touch point when someone submits contact that they can leverage off of and take down a different marketing funnel that is going to bring those people in when there is an emergency or when they need something new for a new build, depending on what market and plumbing they're in, whether they're in new construction or they're in, emergency plumbing. You're just going to take that down the funnel differently. But the point is, the touch point, once you get them in there, you got to understand the customer journey, and there's a customer journey in every market. And once you lay out the customer journey, you have touch points that you can leverage to use the tools that we've talked about, like pixels and shit like that, to start those marketing funnels. And now you're just talking about literally their SEO that knows how to do this shit now is just looking at a page where it's like, okay, and hook in here, and personalize this like this. I can make this funnel work better. I can make this landing page work better. So it takes you from SEO. Yes, you're pulling traffic, and that's the second part we're going to talk about, which is clusters and shit like that. And you're leveraging this kind of thing, and then leveraging the ability to rank extremely well to now use that. Whether you pull in paid or not, you don't have to pull all of it in. You don't need all the knowledge, but to get to that level where you're working as a top level consultant with a major brand and a major corporation, you should have the knowledge of all this shit so you can direct people that are in each department, right? So it sounds big, but it can be very fucking little, very small, and it takes like 5 minutes to implement, So the right tool set or knowledge will make it easy to implement. It doesn't take much once you've done it.
So you gave me so really you need to have all of the other pieces. This is like the cherry on top is really.
Yeah, absolutely. No, yeah. Absolutely. It's a piece. Everything is like tactics, right? We've got the maps tactics. We've got the SEO tactics. We've got the fucking cloaking tactics. We've got the paid tactics, social tactics. Now take what you want, sell it how you want to whoever you're selling to. Me, when I do agency shit, I want to be able to make sure that I see their pain and I sell them what they need, right? If they're slacking in SEO, then that's what I sell them. If they're slacking with social and they can use it in their market, then that's what we sell them, right? So that takes time. Yeah, build that up over time, but make your tool set and tactics to the point where you can do everything to a top-notch level. And that's the cool thing about cloaking technology, is that you now have the ability to literally play a game with everybody online and read their minds basically and deliver exactly what they want. So that point right there, the mind reading, is why I say I can step up the conversion on a website no matter what, because usually the technology isn't in place to be able to read the mind like that unless it's a major brand. And then they're missing something else like SEO. So you start to develop a skill set that gets you in and smash it, right? So there's a question out there about technology that we use. We use everything that we can to do what we want. But right now there's something that we've been working with people for a long time that makes it a lot easier for people. So that's kind of what I'm suggesting to people when they ask now, Nick.
So in non-shady markets, right?
Yeah.
Larger brands, like if I were to go out and do searches, right, for, I don't know, tennis rackets or whatever the case is, in non-shady markets, are you seeing, this type of activity for the winners?
Most brands, when they leverage everything they can, are doing it to some extent. Yeah, usually not to the fullest, and it usually can be consulted on. And I got my Calic up, bro. That's usually there's something you can find that's kind of lacking, even if they already have the technology going in. And we're going to be talking about over the next weeks and the shit that we're doing. We're going to be talking about where those kind of those slips are. Now, you don't have to go and consult for major corporations. That's the only type of client I like to touch because clients piss me off. So if there is an opportunity to work with a large brand, right, then that's the kind of opportunity I'll take. I've consulted with SEO companies that are building up to build their SEO department, build their SEO fucking processes. We've done this shit for major fucking banks, or semi-banks, I would call them.
Banks, lenders, yeah. A few different types of lenders.
Companies.
Yeah, payday loan.
Travel, fucking.
Aren't shady.
Well, yeah, it's a shady industry, but it's a legit company, So.
My papa. No, but seriously though, any market that you're in can be enhanced by the knowledge of the right technology and the way to implement it, because people don't change.
Well said, Mike. That's right.
You can always turn a non-shady market into a shady market, like going back to your tennis rackets. If I wanted to blow out, sell a bunch of tennis rackets, right? What I'm going to do is I'm going to buy tennis rackets city state. And then I'm going to send them to a lander that could potentially convert them. I'm going to pixel them. I'm going to retarget to them. So buy tennis rackets Greensboro, NC, buy tennis rackets, Raleigh, NC, buy tennis rackets Charlotte, NC. I'm just going to pump those out, put that out there. And we were actually doing gifts for men in one campaign. Best buy gifts for men city state is pretty much all the mass page we did. And we went after that, and then our client could then remarket to them and turn a positive ROI from the campaign.
It's also just years ago, I used to do a bit of cloaking, not personalization, but I just want to give another example of how you can twist this stuff in your favor. Obviously, Bing ads allow mismatched URLs. They don't do it. And
exactly.
What I used to do was basically bid on hotel brands for like peanuts, like the Hilton, LA, or whatever it might be, and I would have this shitty hotel website that was full of duplicate content, which the hotel, by using cloaking, the hotel would think that all the traffic was coming from this shit-ass website, but obviously using cloaking and stuff like that, then I was able to basically get that commission. So basically what I would do in Bing is put in $100, bid on a brand and make myself $100. So it can be done as basic as that.
You really, to be very clear though, do not go out and write something that you think is working for you, because right now a lot of like Facebook uses residential IPs. You have to be really on your game to write a paid cloaker. So it works extremely well, and I'm not saying don't do it. But when you come into this game,
he's talking about for cloaking in paid ads. Don't go out and create. Make sure you really know.
If you come in and you don't have the right database, you're going to get fucked. Okay, you're going to get fucked. And I would not run paid ad cloaking on anything that doesn't have 5 to 10 years worth of data behind it, right? And that's what is really important about. If you're starting this, you need to start this with someone who's guiding you into it, because there's a lot of things that you can figure out how to write, but you're missing the data behind it. And the data behind it, I've been collecting data for 15 years on IPs and referrals, and I run my shit on data, right? You can't run this shit without data. And that's what's really important to understand, is that Yeah, I'm going to show you how to write this. I'm going to put that together, and then I think next week we'll have a little book for you, kind of a little ebook. But we'll give you the links today in the description for the Neil Patel shit and how to write the code. That's a little safer than paid cloaking, because now you just have to look at what's already been done, what domains you have to watch for these quality assurance guys to come in from. But when you get into like cloaking AdWords, cloaking Facebook, cloaking Bing ads, cloaking all this shit, they're hitting you with Snoopy bots. They're hitting you with manual people on residential IP. So the methodology behind paid cloaking is you're going to write your ad. You're going to deliver one URL through a redirect. This is the basic way. You're going to deliver one URL through a redirect that they're going to see. That's called your save page. You don't turn your cloaking on until after you've been accepted. So you leave the save page up for a few days until you know you're approved. You collect every IP, everything that comes in while you're waiting that. If you're smart, you'll waste budget and continue to collect shit for a fucking week or two, so you know that you're catching these residential IPs. You've got these IPs stored and you're fucking getting these people off your pages. And then when you're comfortable, you're switching on the real page, which is crafted to fucking talk about, like, you know, if you're talking about CBD, you're running the ad for fucking something that is approved on Facebook, like Steve talked about last week. And then you're switching that off and turning it into your actual page where you're fucking collecting, you're actually converting with once you've done it. Now, I don't recommend anyone jumping into that market, because it's going to lose you accounts. It's going to lose you advertising dollars unless you really know what you're doing.
Get good at creating accounts if you do go that route.
Yeah, you need to be good at it. And honestly, like the guys that you're competing against in those markets, I don't compete against them. That's where they focus, is paid. I don't focus on paid cloaking. I do it, but I don't focus on it. Those guys, if I went up against them and paid on a fucking major market, they'd tear my ass up, right? And I've been doing it for 15 fucking years. So
how resource heavy is that?
What's that?
How resource heavy is it?
It's not what you think. It's kind of funny. We had a campaign in finance. We literally were the largest customers in North America of Amazon EC2. And I think each site was costing us $3 to $4 a month. And we were running at that. Well, that was not just the campaign. That was everything that we were running on that. So that was tens.
That was SEO, right?
Yeah. So that was literally, you're talking about $4 per site, $3 per site times $10,000 to $20,000 a month in cost for those, just the domains and shit. So that's why we mentioned last week when someone said, "Hey, is this cost effective?" It's cost effective to a certain point. I wouldn't do that through choice. I would do it a different way. There's just easier ways to do it through shit like cloak hosting and things like that. There's just shit that's easier. Like if you have a big account with them, you get cheaper pricing. You can get these companies to do it for you. There's hosting out there that people would talk to. They never freaking do the work for you, but because we have so much volume and we put so many sites up, they're gonna just do it because we're paying them so much damn money. We're not paying them to do that. They'll do it because we're paying them enough, right? Yeah. So it comes down to just knowing, the trip files and knowing everything that you can kind of screw your ass up on. And we found it by doing it ourselves.
Never want to screw your ass up, I'll tell you that.
Exactly, dude.
I'm vibrating here. I need to see something like what I want to know. What can I use right now to go and make some extra money? Is it something? What do you got for me, Mike?
Wait. I've already said it. If someone's clever and they program, they're going to go out and do it right now.
See, here's what I ran into with these scripts, because a lot of them were time. They were fired off of time. So you said not script based, so you don't like that, but you're tracking all the IPs. So that's, why is that better than initiating events from non-time based?
So it's kind of the same thing. You can you're thinking in the right direction, dude. You absolutely go in the right direction, because you have to think about everything that happens from the server side to the browser, the front end side, and anytime there's some sort of event or a time or a location, you could trigger off of anything. So you're essentially programming no matter what you're doing when you're cloaking. You're going, if this happens, if this trigger happens, whatever, insert whatever you want in that trigger, then do this action. It's a fucking if statement, dude. That's it. It's a simple if statement. But there's a whole bunch of shit you can trigger off. You can trigger off of time. You can trigger off of events. You can trigger off of cookies. You can trigger off of IP. You can trigger off of user agent. I mean, what do you think mobile versions are, right? Mobile versions are fucking cloaking, right? So
we can't trigger off time, though. Time doesn't work because Google will rest. They'll sit.
Well,
and wait.
it does. I wouldn't trigger certain things off of time. When you think about it from a certain angle, yes, you can't trigger off of time. However, if you talk to Ted, there's some time shit that we were fucking testing with Google, because I don't know if I want to get into this, but Google does not follow the same. Google doesn't follow the same time that we do. Their time is not calculated in the same way we calculate time.
If you ever want to have a quantum physics discussion,
Yes.
bring that up with Ted.
Yeah, exactly. And Ted,
while you're playing pool,
has it, and he has it locked down. And some of the shit I've seen him test that I don't know if he's talked about outside of some of these tests we've looked at are fucking insane, dude. Like when you start to look at time and you start to look at time as Google sees time, you can fuck with them, dude. You can rank fucking quick, but it's
That's
too.
where I had
What's that?
I mean, I haven't nailed it, but I noticed that it's faster, definitely, but I haven't been able to pinpoint exactly what the
You've
rest.
seen it too, then, huh? So you've seen it too. It's weird, isn't it, dude? The way they're fucking.
I haven't seen it. Just me messing around with Eric. That's it. I don't know what he does. We're not geniuses by any stretch of the imagination.
I'm not either, dude. I just have experience around it. But honestly, though, like the time shit is fucking nutty, bro. Like it makes me go, what the fuck else are they doing? Like with CERN and shit out there? Like, are they time traveling already and shit, bro?
So that's why I'm trying to grasp a concept of different cloaking other than trying to map or figure out the time or how fast they're speeding.
Okay, let me get you there.
Okay, yeah, get me there.
So what you're doing, like, let's take just IP redirection and shit. In that case, you are triggering off of the knowledge whether it's a bot or not. So you can go with a positive or a negative. If it is a bot, if it isn't a bot, and there's a trigger for you, right? So that's based on the data you have behind you. And some of the best paid cloakers that are public out there have 20 plus, like close to 20 years. I wouldn't say 20, maybe 15 more years of collecting data on bots and shit like that. So when you're paying these guys, the technology can easily be written, right? Anyone can go out and hire someone to write
the database that you want.
It's the fucking data, man.
Yeah.
You know, databases make money, dude. And that's
Is it database or database?
I call it a database.
Database.
Data.
I would say database. Yeah.
The smart guys call it data, dude.
Potato, tomato.
Guy. There's a dude like I said this, I think already, but guy up in Canada who has a better replacement database than fucking Google, dude. And it's insane, dude. Like you can write content. Go ahead.
No, I'm sorry, man. But stick on that database. All right, so we're getting our own database. Keep going with that. You were running.
What you're gonna do if you're gonna cloak right? Let's just take redirection. Simple fucking redirection. You're gonna have people come to your network, and this is what Brad and I have done a lot. If you're gonna have people come to your websites that are in your tier 2 and tier 3, and basically, if the people come here, you're gonna convert them somehow on that site. Now, or you're going to send it over to a site that does convert. Let's just take this simple way. It's hard for me to stay there, but I'll try to stay there. If someone comes into your network and it's a person, you're sending them over to your money site, wherever you're converting these people, and you're using that site that's built for conversion to convert them. Now, if it is Googlebot, anything, when they come in here, these are not secrets, by the way. When you come in here, then if it's Googlebot, if it's anything, you're either reverse DNS or you're fucking, let's talk about IP delivery. If you're doing IP delivery, they're coming on the site. If it's Googlebot, they stay on that site that's optimized with your clusters for Google to convert and rank fast. In like that 4-day like case study that we were talking about, you're doing that to make Google bring you traffic. And then you're siphoning all the user traffic you can detect to your converting page, right? So basically right there, you're just separating out. All you're doing is going and using an if statement to say, is it a bot? Is it a human? If it's a human, send them here. If it's a bot, keep them here and let them continue to rank it, right? So now when you understand that concept, once you get that down, you've done it and you get it, now you can start.
That's probably
I get it.
The basics of cloaking, yeah.
That's the basic of cloaking. And now you can really trigger on other shit to do amazing.
That's when you start going deeper after you've got that. Yeah.
Okay, what's deeper? What do you mean by that?
Deeper is literally getting like the same concept. If you wanted to go,
then? Once I have it down and I'm able to cloak and or show different content, what's the next step? What's deeper? What would be
deeper is the next step. Deeper is fucking huge, bro. That's like 1.1% of fucking what it can be. Like this is just the tip of the iceberg under the fucking water. It's huge, right? And that's where it start to get into secrets and shit that I don't necessarily want to talk about in public,
Fair
right?
enough.
But the top level that everyone talks about in SEO, I got no problem talking about because it's just common sense once you've seen it done a couple times. You know, you literally are just segmenting out different things. But if you think about it, do you program at all? Do you write websites?
Very small amounts.
Yeah. So that's why
Java.
I've always said that the best SEOs I've ever met are programmers, because now they have the knowledge of how a website works, how the server technology works.
When you look at it from a hacker's perspective,
yes, exactly.
Those guys end up being the best SEOs.
But I don't consider HTML to be coding, though. Like,
no, that's about all I can do.
But you can trigger off of things like an ID on a div or a name on a div or anything you want. So it's like, here's a simple example. Scalable Flash inline replacement is literally a technique that we used to use for SEO to make sure that if we got manual that we wouldn't be in trouble, right? We wanted the content in an H1, but we wanted it to look pretty. So we would write an H1 tag, and then we'd overlay through CSS a fucking image of Flash on it, an animation that was converting or looked good, or however the design you want to go. So now the user is seeing something super pretty, but all the bot's getting is your line of code that fucking talks about fucking relevance right there. So basically, like at that point, you're kind of cloaking just through HTML. So you can look at it like that, right? You're using CSS and HTML to cloak fucking your H1, okay? You have an H1 in the code, and then underneath it or above it, wherever you want it, you should put it above it because the bot read from left to right and down. So you should have your important code and up top, and all your pretty shit at the bottom of your HTML. So all they read is that fucking important code, but then move that shit on top of your design. You take your design on top of the code that is all the fucking data for Google. So the user sees it as something pretty, but Google just sees it as a fucking scholarly document, right?
It's not really cloaking, but you can do a lot with, where you take the content, put it in a div, and then you slam it to the top left. Where what Google reads is what you want them to read, and then what the user sees is what you slam to the top left, and then it's essentially an overlay. That's not necessarily cloaking, but it's the same thought process.
So now you can take the same concept, and if you want to do something that hides what you're doing, you take that design part, you put it in a separate file, throw it in a directory, make it look like a PHP include, bring it back in through technology like cloaking, and overlay it so that if it's a quality rater and they come, they don't have any clue what you're doing. Now, you're doing something you don't need at that point, because you're not going to get in trouble with the quality rater for structuring your code correctly. This is shit that like solid SEOs have been doing fucking for decades. I've been doing this for 20 years where I structure my pages so that the code's up on top, the design's on the bottom, it looks good for the user, and it ranks for the fucking...
Who was the guy from Network Empire? I never got to meet him. He was always at the live events, though. I think he had a British accent.
That's Matt. He was from South Africa, yeah.
Yeah, he did all that kind of shit, right? That was
exactly.
His expertise in the SEO realm.
Yep. And that's something that, I would recommend that to everyone. Really do your research on how to lay shit out with CSS and everything so that you structure your page so that the bot's crawling in order. Because after you get deeper into your crawl budget, if you're code bloated, they're not going to get your data, dude. They're going to stop fucking reading your page, and you're not going to get your fucking relevance in there. It's like link building. Like, most people don't truly understand what link building is. All link building is doing is taking advantage of progressive and incremental indexing so that you get the bots on your pages to fucking categorize, so that the crawler categorizes your pages and the clusterizer fucking segments them into clusters. So, like, if you understand the bot mechanism and the three phases of the bot mechanism, and you understand how code works, then you can start to take technology like cloaking and use it to your advantage, right?
Since you mentioned indexing and all that kind of stuff, you could use cloaking, and this is from like What's Deeper. You could use cloaking for indexing purposes. You could use it for a ton of stuff like that. Would be like next level type stuff. What other than
we'll give them an example for link building or for getting content put out. Like, say, like, take the concepts of an SEO that's doing like I don't know what Brian Dean calls them, but those pages that he builds for fucking link building that gather all the white hat links and everything. Okay,
it's like a skyscraper type article.
So now what you do is you make that, you go out and show everybody. There's no advertising, and so they link to you. But now if it's them coming to you, you hide that and you put a bunch of marketing in there. So if it's anyone else but those fuckers that you've captured their IP, now you're not cloaking for Google. You're within fucking your terms of service for Google, but you're cloaking for the other people, and then people that aren't involved with that, now they're getting the marketing and other people aren't. So like a skyscraper page, that's it. So like cloaking is so deep that it touches everything that you do if you want it to. Like we used to go out and this is a method I don't use anymore, but do link trades when it worked. Some people did link laundering, which is, hey, link to my site, I'll link to this site, you link to here. I said, fuck, that's a lot of work. I would just go out, fucking say, hey, let's trade links. And then fucking only when Google came, their backlink from me to them was gone, but from them to me was there. So I had a one-way link, and they thought I had a two-way link with them. So now I'm crafting my link trading. That's why I said link. I always say that fucking reciprocal.
That's when it gets a little darker, you know.
Yeah, that's getting dark. I mean, that's getting into the dark arts. That's why we say dark and light arts. But like these are just some of the tip of the iceberg shit that, you know, is I feel comfortable talking about in public.
So this
right?
could be helpful for the negative side then too.
Oh, absolutely. Okay. There's so much you can do. I mean, the best, I came up today, someone was talking about it because of GMB. And this is what a dude that's really well known out there, me and him used to do. We wrote templates on how to report people. And if there was a shifty.
Yeah, that was in the NFG group, I think, wasn't it?
Yes, it was. It was in NFG Monthly. And if there was someone shifty and shady and in our way, like that was not a good person that was screwing with small business, like if it was a link builder or like a fucking lead gen dude that was like taking over for fucking like people that we were helping in small business that were real people, I know how to get you out of that fucking search engine like lickety split, dude. I don't have to do any link building or shit like that. I'll just look at what you did, take my template for that case, and then I'm going to submit that from 4 or 5 different fucking aged accounts, and you're out of my fucking way, dude.
The white hat negative SEO.
Yeah. So, like, you gotta, and there's dudes out there that are white hat that do that shit all the fucking time.
I've seen YouTube videos about it. They'll go in and change a PPL listing over and like just make it like tank because they changed the name from a high level account and it just tanks. He's like, well, I can't outrank this guy, so he'll go in and change the name. It'll tank. You got to go back in and change it. It goes back up. You know, it's a cat and mouse game. But I've seen YouTube videos where guys were telling others to do that, and that's just white hat. What do they call them? Not vigilantes. Like the white knight type people that think that they're doing good and this is the best way forward. So, and
one indicator from a black hat standpoint too, if you start to see links showing up and you start thinking, well, this isn't a danger, this doesn't matter. If you got a crafty motherfucker on your ass, dude, that wants you out of the way, they're not building those links to trigger the algorithm. They're building those links to report your ass, dude. They will craft their narrative the way they want, and they will take your ass out of that search, dude. I've seen it happen so many times. So,
damn, yeah.
But
that shit. I love that shit.
It is fun, dude. It's been an adventure for the last 15 years doing that shit, or 20 years, whatever. But yeah, no, and we've taken it and realized the skill set we built over the years of running black hat campaigns can just be shifted very easily and made into real money doing shit for fucking large corporations, you know, and doing it for
I like to call it taking the dark arts into the light. You know, we're with a few small tweaks, you know, we don't have to be shady and we can use those tactics and use them for good as opposed to, well, I guess it's all good if you consider making money good, but you know, but yeah, more of a more socially acceptable way to use the dark arts.
And since we're getting towards the end, you probably won't give this up, but not your example, but is there anywhere I can go? I'm just curious for myself now. Do you know any good examples of people that are doing it right that I can go look at that you don't like? Maybe I guess would be a good way to do it. I don't know. Can you?
I'm going to talk about. You know what? I will show people an example, but I'm not going to do it on this. There's too many people. So there is a company that, if you look in the history of SEO, that one of their domains got smashed, like major fucking news in SEO because of how they were cloaking. Now that company changed their name to a slight different name, and they're still doing a lot of cloaking, but they're doing it in a way that people haven't thought to look at. And
it's a name that probably everyone on here would know. Yeah.
Yeah, everyone would know who this is. It's in the lyric space. And what they're doing is they have a section, only a certain section of their website where they filter out users and they send them to YouTube to create views for themselves. And that's why it's like when Craig, I wanted to talk to you. We need to get on and talk about what you're doing. There's ways for the campaigns you're running that we can enhance that, and we will do that, bro. I'm sorry we haven't done it yet. It's been busy.
You should be sorry, but you just did get internet that doesn't require.
I did just get internet for the first time. You're right. But yes, like so, there's many examples out there of people cloaking in major industries. You know, you were asking about non-shady markets. We've done it in artificial turf, candles, like we've done it in anything you can think of, like dog walking and shit, right?
Artificial turf, we generated a ton of leads, and the ROI compared to their paid campaigns that they had running was just insanity.
And you know what? This week we didn't get to it. I wanted to get to the second half of what we're talking about and doing, which is clustering and clusterization, cluster maturation.
Maturation. Is that really a word?
The latest case studies. There's like there's a couple I've done, a couple Buddy has done that's I think still out there. Where I think the most solid one recently was like a 4-day campaign that took it from something like a keyword or 2 ranking to like near 1,000 keywords ranking, and from like 100 visits a day to like 5,000 something a day in 4 days, right? And that's just leveraging all of what we're talking about and the maturation of clusters and shit. So you know, maybe next week we'll get into that cluster maturation shit and the way it ties into link building and what people are missing when it comes to the bot mechanism and crawl budget when it comes to like link building. And why certain services are better than others or whatever. So, but yeah, I mean, it's all like once you understand these things and you tie them together, like you have a beast that will fucking make money like you would not believe. And that's kind of where we want to get people because there's more than enough out there for everyone at this point. Like I don't believe anyone can go out there and compete except for fucking Neil Patel. Neil Patel's beaten me and Brad like 2 or 3 times on a fucking bid, dude. So, but I'm going to say there's not a lot of people that can go out and pitch what we can pitch to a company, right?
But he was pitching something different. So, and he was pitching something different than what we were pitching. So, it's all good.
Done it twice now, though, dude. He's good, bro.
Yeah. Well, we were working with Sam Ovens for a while, and he was buddies with Neil Patel. I can't remember who else ran against him.
We lost.
What the other contact was.
The brand beat us. I mean, the brand beat us. You know, we were 2 schmucks, and you know he's Neil Patel. So
yeah. We're a Sasquatch and a caveman. So
exactly, dude. How do you protect yourself from what viral?
That question came in.
The white hat vigilantes.
Yeah, the white hat vigilantes reporting your ass. Can you stop that shit from happening to yourself?
There's ways you can do it, but you have to pay attention to a lot of data. You have to analyze.
What I would do is get it back. First off, you've got to do the damage control. So if it's a client, if it's yours, get it back up as soon as possible. File, the appeal, go through that whole process, get it back up, and then find out who the fuck did it, and just make sure that they promise not to do it again. And that's saying that in the nicest way possible. But ensure that they never want to mess with you or your clients again. So, and we've had to launch those kind of campaigns too. People coming after us. I know you and JK with someone that everyone knows had to do that, and they were about to hit the explode button on all their clients.
It was going to get bad really fast, dude. There's some networks that are majorly known that went down that had to do with certain people like doing certain things.
You never want to take it to that. So, hopefully they say they're sorry when you reach out to them and say, I know what you did, so.
Well, one thing I always recommend to my clients or to like someone who's selling white label services from us, like I just tell them to throw me under the bus or throw my company under the bus. So craft your narrative. And we're going to be talking about this in all this shit where we're going to be talking about cloaking, but craft your narrative. Like, and there's ways I would recommend crafting it, but make sure you craft your narrative so you have a fall guy if you have to go to the manual review. Like we had during that campaign where we generated all the loans, we had the network like 3,500 sites that were manually reported by a major corporation. They've been reported a bunch of times because
was it by Walmart?
Yeah, it was Walmart's subsidiary.
Walmart,
and it was after, like, in one of Diggity's groups, like, they shared a whole bunch of our shit, dude, like, in our fucking partner's name. And they're like, who's this guy doing all this shit? And we've got reported a bunch of times, but they didn't do shit till Walmart got involved. But guess what? We had our shit back in the index within a week, dude. 3,500 fucking sites fucking re-included within a week, dude. So if you set the shit up right and you have your fall guy ready, you can get back in really fast.
Yeah. I think having the right strategy or the fall guy is important.
Blame the SEO, dude. You always have just hired a new SEO and stick with it, dude. I mean, that's the way people always try it. But there's things like that where you can make it work. You know, I talked about scalable flash admin replacement, which is, you know, have a reason. My reason for that, when they caught me, I would just always say it's for screen readers because some people can't fucking read, dude, and some people can't see. So have something have a narrative ready to craft it for them when you make that re-inclusion request. It's the same thing with going negative with it. Have your narrative ready and everything. That's why people will build links, build their narrative, and then drop a report. You know, there's just ways to make it work better that we'll talk about. So that could help you, hopefully.
Chris, any other questions on what we've discussed?
No, it's fun. I mean, I have a million more questions, but I mean, hey,
we'll get to them, dude. We'll talk about it.
I think you've given a lot more away today than I was actually expecting. I was expecting more of that teasing ass shit. Just fucking like 10 minutes.
We decided to do it, bro. Thanks to you. You fucking twisted our arm enough, dude.
Man, I didn't take much twisting. It didn't take much twisting. But I think it
wasn't your arm that you twisted, was it?
No, that's why it was so easy. You got straight to my heart, dude.
Yeah.
I think, so what are we going to do next week? Are we going to go into the clustering?
Yeah, we are. You know what? It's so fucking beneficial for people, and it makes a lot of sense for people to be able to kind of kickstart and kick the shit out of their SEO. So yeah, we'll go into that next week.
Go in with that. And
masturbation.
And do we have Chris Palmer coming back next week too?
I think so, dude.
Chris Palmer, because you're like the Rain Man. This is all your shit. I seen someone in the live chat saying, Craig, I can't remember exactly what he said, but it was as if I was just sitting there. I'm like, man, I'm fucking learning here as well. So I love all of this shit, and obviously I've dabbled with, you know, shitty cloaking now when I think about it compared to what these guys are doing. It's next level. You know, I'm a fucking rookie cloaker.
It's just a matter of experience and being if no one's showing you, you got to fucking figure it out yourself, and you need the time to figure it out in the right campaigns. And I think it's just a matter of luck if someone gets into some of this shit. Yeah. So without having someone kind of guiding you, it's kind of fucking difficult to figure it all out. Literally, I'm talking out of 15 years of experience, dude. That's a lot of fucking time, you know.
But as people are saying, even Paul Hogden there, every day is a school day. Yeah. We all have shit to learn, and obviously looking forward again to next week and obviously finding out about the cluster maturation.
I like these guys, Craig. They come off with, I like their, you know, the stuff there. It's like you go searching through YouTube, you're not hearing this stuff, man.
No. So, that's why I think to people actually, and a little plug before we go for SEO Rockstars. Obviously, last year it was NFG Rockstars, and I'd never been there before, and I thought it might just be one of these run-of-the-mill events, you know, where it's just, you know, 5 good speakers, the rest of it's all dog shit, and it's a pitch fest. And then when I got there and I just heard some of the shit talking, I'm like, I'm not even sure I should be speaking here. The guys I was talking to at the bar who were attendees were doing some fucking mad shit.
Yeah, so what the attendees do with those things.
So look at SEO Rockstars. It started today, and it's on up until Friday. I know Brad's on Friday. Mike, when are you?
Yeah, we're talking together. I can't do it without him. It's like why I called Chris on here today, because I couldn't explain this shit without someone asking me questions. So thank you, Chris. I appreciate it, dude. No, I'd start talking about weird fucking
shit. He starts talking about time travel.
Yep.
Yeah. But yeah, I think we've got some good feedback here. Gizmo plans.
If you need help, I mean, honest, that's a crappy situation, dude. I mean, talk to Brad.
Yeah. Talk to Brad.
No, honestly, if you really do have any idea, need an idea, you can message me on Skype, dude. at Michael_Pierce1, and I'll talk to you.
So give him a shout. But on that note, that is us out of time. Thank you everyone for coming along. I know we've not been able to answer. Well, there wasn't many questions. I think everyone's jaw just dropped and we're like, oh. But we will have the links below the video that Mike's referring to, the Neil Patel shit. But thank you everyone for being here, and we will see you again next week for more of the same. So thank you, Brad. Thank you, Mike. Thank you, Chris. And thank you. Catch you next week.
See you, people. Thank you.